And I'm back with more justice for all. Still trying to make do in the trial of Matt Ungard. I believe both sides are ready. Yes. Yes. I can understand the defense activities. However, why do you seem so distraught? This is nothing. What's wrong with Edgeworth? Looks like something unexpected just happened. Now then, if you could please tell the court the results of the handwriting analysis on Mr. Impact's suicide note. We have discovered that the suicide note is a forgery. What? What do you mean? This note was not written by Impact herself. It's a fake. Are you sure you were able to explain what's going on? This was not written by Miss Impact, and who wrote it? We would need more time for a more detailed analysis. However, it appears that the handwriting matches that of the victim, Mr. Juan Carita. Mr. Carita? Looks like Miss Impact's never left a note at all. She never wrote anything about Ungard. However, Your Honor, even though a suicide note is indeed a fake, Mr. Ungard could not have known that, so the facts remain unchanged. Acting under the assumption it was real, he had to have plotted to possess it. That does seem plausible. This theory that Ungard had no idea the suicide note was fake. Something about it seems wrong with it. The defense believes that there's a prosecution The defense believes that the theory the prosecution stated contradicts testimony. If everything prosecution has proven to this point is true, then it's impossible for Mr. Ungard to not have known it was a fake. It's a video camera, Your Honor? Oh, that's right. You kids and your fancy toys. Mr. Edgeworth, earlier, you claimed that Mr. Ungard knew about the existence of the note because he was spying on the victim. Is that right? If that were true, then this means Mr. Ungard would have known that the victim forged the note. Ugh. So the defendant knew the suicide note was a fake? And if that's true, then the situation changed in a dramatic way. Prosecution's theory that what Mr. Ungard's motive for murder was certainly disappeared into thin air. But, Your Honor, it's not as if Mr. Ungard mentioned or monitored Mr. Carita 24 hours a day. Perhaps the victim wrote a place in a note Mr. Ungard didn't know of. Well, why don't you show us some proof that the forgery was made in an unknown place? Order! Mr. Edgeworth, looks like this time it was you who dug your own grave. As I figured. As you figured? As I figured it came down to this after all. You're not making any sense. When I heard the results of the handwriting analysis, I thought this would happen. The question is, what next? If the prosecution can't prove Mr. Ungard's motive through the evidence, then we must prove it from another angle. I agree. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to call a witness to the stand. That's fine. However, this witness is a little unusual. That's not like him at all. What sort of person is this witness? The witness is one who is perfectly fit to answer this question once and for all. Who was it who hired Shelly De Killer to commit murder? It's impossible. Who in the... No person exists. Who is this witness? It's... the man himself, Mr. Shelly De Killer. Oh, okay. What? You mean the assassin? Yes. He's coming here? In a manner of speaking. I recognize this is a very unusual circumstance, but I ask for your permission. Well, is that alright with you? Do I have a choice here? I can't really do much else but drag this trial out. The defense has no objections. I mean, I've cross-examined the parrot. What the fuck else do you want me to do? Very well then, the prosecution calls its witness to the stand. Is there no any way left to us? Now then, witness. Your name and occupation, please. Very good, sir. My name is Shelly De Killer, and I am a professional assassin. What is going on here? Your Honor, how can you remain so calm, and what is the meaning of this two-way radio? Actually, it was delivered to me just now, and it came with a condition. As long as we do not trace its source, Mr. De Killer would testify. So this must have been what that urgent phone call he got was about. This will not do. I cannot allow this in my court. First of all, we can't even tell if it's really him himself. Witness, please provide some sort of proof that you are in fact Shelly De Killer. I understand. Please wait a second. I'm so hungry. Maya! A voice! Mr. Wright, can you confirm any of this? The defense has no objections. We are satisfied that this man is indeed Shelly De Killer. Looks like we've run into another unexpected turn of events. It does seem like we don't have too many choices. Now then, witness. There's one thing I would like to know before we speak on anything else. And what would that be? At the request of a client, you killed one Karina. Is this correct? It is as you say. I did indeed kill Mr. Karina. Now that we've answered that, let's move on to the name of your client. Very well. This is a bad dream. That's it. This is a bad dream. What's he going to say? There is something I must first state. To an assassin, nothing is more important than the trust between a client and himself. And that is the reason I am here today on this witness stand. It is my wish that you grasp this concept before I give you the name of my client. Mr. De Killer seems to be very clever. I'd almost say he's been mocking us. While he may appear to be our enemy, Mr. De Killer is only stating the truth. He is no hypocrite. He has always stood by one belief. You mean about this trust between clients and himself? Seems to be a level of trust beyond what people like me can comprehend. Well, Mr. Wright, are you ready? There's no way to know what's coming next, so stay cool and collected, Phoenix. Second, third, second. Okay. The trust between you and a client? I provide my services in a fast and efficient manner. In exchange, I trust that my clients are discreet about me and my identity. If too many people knew my face, it would be troublesome. And that's why you're testifying? This is the first time one of my clients has ever been accused of murder. I must preserve the De Killer name so my clients can trust me. But couldn't someone stab you in the back and break your trust? This never happened before, but if it ever did, that person wouldn't be my client for very long. They would certainly... That's enough, please. Very well, it was only a hypothetical anyway. That seems a little strange to me. I mean, you're about to tell us the name of your client. I would think that this would be very bad for them. It doesn't matter to me. This client has already broken the rules and acted outside their prescribed role. Their role? This person tried to implicate another in a crime in order to save themselves. And that is a trespass that cannot be forgiven. Who gave you the right to be so high and mighty? To the gentleman who spoke just now. Excuse me, but would you care to die? No, I didn't say anything. That judge has better watch himself. You said your client had already broken the rules? A person who frames another is the worst kind of human. And that's why you feel you can betray this person? I have no trust relation with a client who can't understand their assigned role. Just my luck. An assassin with a conscience. Who would have figured? Now then, everyone. Do you think you can understand my logic? This keeps getting... If you can't, then I'm afraid we can't proceed. Everyone understands your point, I think. In that case, I believe I am prepared to disclose the information you seek. You've made it crystal clear you value trust over all else. I believe we're ready. Excellent. What is it? No, I can't bring myself to ask the client's name. If you can't ask it, then I will. Witness, what is the name of your client who requested the murder of one Karita? That person's name is... Adrian Andrews. What? Witness! That's not what you told me earlier. Pray tell, what are you talking about, Mr. Prosecutor? I should think I know my client, and it is Adrian Andrews. What? This can't be. What's going on here? My guess is Mr. De Killer just stabbed Mr. Edgeworth in the back. Stabbed him in the back? I'm sure in order to get an audience with the court, he told him a different name. This is outrageous. I was deceived. This witness is telling a very serious lie. But you were the one who summoned him. You. My testimony is the truth. The defendant at the moment is Matt Ungard, correct? All I wish to do is provide his acquittal. All of a sudden it feels like we can actually win this. The prosecution has failed to provide a motive and has instead provided the suicide note, a forgery created by the victim. Furthermore, there's a possibility the defendant himself knew it was a fake. But most definitive of all, we've heard from an assassin the name of his client, Mr. De Killer, who requested the murder. With all this evidence, it's obvious to me that this means that Mr. Ungard is innocent. It seems I've caught you all a bit of confusion. Please, continue your discussion and call me when you've reached a verdict. Please bring Miss Andrews in immediately. But the way this is going, Ungard's going to be found innocent. This may be our last chance to save Maya. But Edgeworth's right. He's lying. And I know he's guilty. Can I live myself with like this? Who would have believed that the prosecution's own witness would have absolved the defendant? The prosecution requests permission to further question the witness. He's trying to lie under oath. It wasn't me. Listen, everyone. The testimony just now was a big lie. Miss Andrews, the suicide note was a fake, but that man, he's the reason Celeste died. Juan's death was because he got pulled into Matt's world. That testimony just now, you have to believe me, it was a horrible lie. But he's testified, and he named you as his client. That's not true. Also, there's quite a bit of evidence that points to you. The knife, the button, donning the costume. But That's... You even have a motive. You know that Miss Celeste Impax was a large part of your life. You wanted to follow her and wanted revenge against those who hurt her. I would say you have plenty of reason to want them both dead. Mr. Wright! You know the truth. Tell them! Tell them the real story! Who the real killer is. Tell them! Help me. I know the truth. Mr. Wright, I believe we reached the end of this trial. Therefore, I ask the defense for any final words or opinions. Do I go through this chance and wait for Gumshoe's new evidence? What am I supposed to do? Well, I'm definitely going to save it first. Your Honor, the defense requests that... It's no use. Phoenix, I can't do it. I can't accept it not guilty. You're a lawyer. I know, but he's a murderer. I can't let him get away like this. If I let Miss Andrews get convicted, then I'm no better than him. And even though I don't want to admit it, I have to face that fact. And this is because Edgeworth that I now know is the real truth. He could have gotten him convicted so many times over, but he never took a single one of those chances. If I take this verdict right now, I'd be betraying his trust. His trust? I never thought about it until now. I trust him? Yes, you do. Mr. Wright, your opinion, please. The defense requests that we be allowed to further question the killer. Am I hearing you correctly? But that witness has cleared your client through testimony. His job is done. I'm not done yet. To see through this witness's lies and find the truth, that is my job. There's still more evidence to look at. And I'm sure that once those pieces arrive here, a miracle will occur. Very well, the trial will continue. Please re-establish connection with Mr. De Killer. Right away. Has a verdict been reached? Before that, we would like to talk to you some more. About? All you needed from me was the name of my client. What else could there be for me? Well, actually, we would like to hear everything you know about this case. That's how things are usually done. What's he talking about? But what do we have him testify about? Mr. De Killer, if you don't mind, please testify about your client in more detail. You legal people and your procedures. Is it any wonder no one likes to go to court? As I have already quite stated, Adrian Andrews is my client. However, one thing I simply cannot overlook is tampering with the scene of the crime. My client did it to frame another for the crime, while pretending to be the first person to discover the body and enter the scene. Adrian Andrews already knew from the very beginning that Juan Carito was dead. But even more appalling is the creation and planting of that knife and button. The act that I'm referring to is what I said when my client had broken the rules. That is most unexpected. For the 5th time now? However, this time this finally has been revealed. Just a second. We still have the cross-examination to do. But you don't need to question testimony like this. Do you, Mr. Wright? Your Honor, the defense will question the witness. Why? What this witness has said is nothing but beneficial for the defense's case. If you scrutinize the testimony, then I'll expose the lies of this beneficial testimony, I guess. I don't understand what's going on anymore. That makes two of us.
Third statement.
Okay. 2. And thank you so much for taking the time to testify. What is the meaning of that attitude? When Miss Andrews entered the victim's room, your client had no idea that he'd been murdered. But how do you know that? From this wine glass. Mr. De Killer's supposed client thought Mr. Kurita had only fainted, which is why this glass of tomato juice was poured for the victim. But isn't that just a part of her plan? That's not possible. The glass bears the fingerprints of that person. Had this been planned, they would have never left fingerprints behind. I see your point, Mr. Edgeworth. Strangely enough, I had the same exact thought just now. Witness, how do you explain this strange phenomenon? Isn't it a waste of your time to ask such a minor detail? It's not a very important point anyway, correct? I'm afraid you're mistaken. If Adrian Andrews really is your client, as you claim, then your client should have had knowledge of Mr. Kurita's death. If not, then that can only mean that Adrian Andrews was never your client at all. How strange. Why is it that attorney has yet to raise an objection at this absurd situation? If De Killer finds out what we're up to, we're in real trouble. Objection! Mr. Edgeworth, I'm surprised. You know you can't say things like that without any evidence. Sorry. Well, that was an awfully weak objection. Anyway, I'm positive there was a contradiction in the testimony. The prosecution requires further testimony concerning where the request was taken. Very well. I have to buy more time. While we wait for those items. I just know that the very outcome of this trial lies on those 2 items. This request comes to me, about a week ago. It was a request for my services on the night of the awards ceremony. We met at a certain bar to discuss and finalize a few matters. That's what occurred. I trust my memory, and I believe I've made no mistakes. So you physically met your client? That's correct. Meeting one's client is the first step to building trust, in my opinion. I see. Your cross-examination, if you please.
Third statement.
So you physically met Adrian Andrews? Of course I did. What was that? What was the brief pause? I would like you to give us a few more details. I always meet my clients as a matter of principle. I've never taken a request by telephone or email. And why is that? That's because I value the trust between a client and myself. The only way to establish that is to speak with the client while looking them in the eye. Well, Mr. Wright, was this testimony important? Why he meets his client's not important, and that wasn't the point. Witness, please stop sidestepping the issue. What do you mean by this? My question is, did you really meet Miss Andrews in person? As I've already told you, I did. It was only through talking with him face to him. That's when I thought, I can trust this person. So that's what they're talking about face to face. Was the testimony just now of any importance? If I heard what I just think I heard, then I think we got him. I believe your testimony now was of the utmost importance. If that's the case, please include that statement in your testimony. Very well. I would like to go over this one more time. You met Adrian Andrews at a bar and took the request at the time? Yes, that's correct. And that's when you thought he was trustworthy. How many times must I repeat myself? Yes, that's correct. I'm sorry, but that's an impossible tale. What? Shelly De Killer. You've never met the real Adrian Andrews. Why would you say such a thing? Because you made one big mistake. About her. So what's the issue? Huh? What did you just say just now? About her? If you had met Miss Andrews in person, one look at her would have told you she is a woman. Order! What is the meaning of this? This witness testified to the following, that he always meets his clients face to face. But he's never met Adrian Andrews in person. Yes, Your Honor. That's exactly the point. That means Mr. De Killer's client could not have been Miss Andrews. Ugh. Mr. Edgeworth, I understand your logic. However, why would the assassin make such a basic mistake? I believe it has to do with her name. Adrian Andrews is without a doubt a very androgynous name. I see. Unlucky for Mr. De Killer. The entire time he was on the stand, no one had stated her gender. So he simply picked the wrong gender to go with. What? Shelly De Killer, this court demands an explanation. I think somehow I must have mixed up with the clients somehow. So does that mean you remember something different? Of course, please, if you would allow me to testify once more. I know he's just going to spit out more lies. This time you must give us the truth and nothing but the truth. Yes, now I remember. I took the request by mail. There have been times when I took a job without having to. Oh, he's saying bullshit. The request was the murder for Juan Carita and 2 or 3 other small things. When I saw the name on the letter, I thought my client was a man. He's backpedaling, I can hear it. He didn't mention that about a letter earlier, which means he's definitely lying. Be careful, Phoenix. If you break the assassin's testimony, it's over. I can't make suspicious. I think we're okay. I think we can do it. As long as he's standing there, across from me, no matter how strong of a punch I throw, he'll counter it. Let's begin this cross-examination. I'm gonna save again, just to make sure. You can potentially get a bad ending for this game, so I don't want that to happen. Two or 3 other things. Yes. And what were those other things? A few other things that have nothing to do with this case. It'd be really bad if I pushed his buttons the wrong way. Whether or not they're related to this case is for the court to decide. Mr. Attorney. Everything I've said from the beginning has been nothing but beneficial for your client. Which is why I wonder why you're pushing to continue with this cross-examination. Could it be that you are planning to betray your own client? I smell the stench of a backstabber. And should you turn out to be one... Oh. Should press my luck. This is a very important matter. Please cooperate and tell us what these other jobs were. If that's truly that important, I suppose I don't have much a choice. That bear figure. The bear figurine. After the assassination of the target, I was to find it. I was told this job was just as important as the actual killing. And what about the figurine? It was inside Mr. Kurita's suitcase. What did you do next? I handed it over to my client right away. You gave it to your client? That information sounds important. Please include that to your testimony. As you wish. I found this figurine in Mr. Ungard's mansion. If you gave it to Miss Andrews, then what is it doing there? I was waiting for her there. This was also part of her plan to frame Mr. Ungard, I'm sure. That makes sense. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any problems? The killer says he gave the figurine to Miss Andrews. But I know there's something in his statement there's a contradiction. And yet, I know if I present something trivial here, he'll cut the connection. If you want to make a strong point, you have to present strong evidence. She's right. You gave Miss Andrews the bear figurine, and she told you to take the bear and wait for her at Ungard's mansion? Is that correct? Yes. Where are you going with this? Well, I think you may have remembered a few things incorrectly. This is a battle of wits I can't let up. I don't think it's possible for Miss Andrews to have been the recipient. Shelly De Killer, if you'd really given the bear to Miss Andrews, then this item should not have been inside it. This item? I see where you're going. Yep, that's where I'm going. Where's everyone going? Do I need to pack a suitcase? Your Honor, please think back to Miss Andrews' testimony. I was going to burn it, for her sake. Even if it for a single minute, this bear has actually been in Miss Andrews' hand. I'm sure she would have taken the suicide note out and burned it. Order! So that's where you two were going. So by the very fact that the suicide note is still inside, it tells us that your client didn't know how to disassemble the puzzle. Which means... it means that it's impossible for Miss Andrews to be the client. Ugh! Mr. Phoenix Wright. I'm sure I've mentioned this before. I hate traitors above all else. I think your cross-examination has clearly demonstrated something to me. You must wish to break your end of this agreement. That's enough! If this is your intention, there's only one thing left for me to do. Wait, please! Gentlemen, ladies, please excuse me. I have a matter I must attend to. Please wait. Mr. Attorney, bring this trial to a speedy end and I might stay my hand. Otherwise... What are you? Mr. Edgeworth? Yes? I don't understand this witness's outburst just now. Do you think there's a need to hear more testimony, or is this enough? I can't do this. If we keep this up my end, we'll... The prosecution... What's come over everyone? The prosecution rests. What's going on here? The prosecution has no further questions. What? Well, I never thought I'd see the day. This is a most unusual situation. If the prosecution rests with no further questions, then the prosecution has failed to uphold its stance. If that is the case, then even though I am reluctant, I must believe that this testimony is accurate. That would mean that Shelly De Killer's client is Adrian Andrews. Mr. Wright? If I end this trial here, right now, then your client will be declared innocent. And in his place, Adrian Andrews would be charged with murder. Would be charged with murder? The prosecution has no further questions, so we'll hear the final remarks. Please bring the defendant. The items from De Killer's hideout didn't make it in time. We tried as hard as we could, but it looks like our time ran out. Can't believe it. The outcome lies in your hands. Jeez. Dude, did the old guy finally decide? To be honest, I can't believe if you're truly innocent and good. You've done enough evil to drive a woman to suicide. But, at least on the charge of murder, it would appear you're innocent. So, I guess even the old fuddy-duddy figured me out. Mr. Ongard, what an atrocious lawyer I have, giving his own client up like this. And that refreshing like a spring breeze crap, it's just atrocious. Don't you agree? Anyway, get on with it and pronounce me innocent already. Right, Mr. Lawyer? Should I side with justice or should I save her life? You better get him a guilty sentence, okay? If I did that, she'll die. But if I say he's innocent, then Miss Andrews will be charged as a murderer. It all hinges on what I choose. Now then, Mr. Wright, let's hear the defense's final statement. If the person who hired the assassin was Mrs. Andrews, then your client is innocent. No need to ask, old man. After all, my lawyer is going to say what I want, aren't you? I can't do this. My client is... We're waiting for your answer, Mr. Wright. Your client deserves an answer. Maya, I'm sorry. Franziska von Karma! What are you doing? Ow! You see now, don't you? Mr. Phoenix Wright? This is exactly why you should never take your eyes off that old scruffy fool. Did you bring them? The final pieces, do we have them? You should know better than to ask that, Mr. Miles Edgeworth. Von Karma is perfect in every way. The evidence here is in perfect condition. Don't worry about Scruffy, he's fine. His injuries are minor. All of the items are inside this. What a filthy old coat. That's gumshoes? I can spot his tattered rags anywhere. I apologize for its ugliness, but there's nothing else to wrap the items in. I fought long and hard for this whole trial. All for what's inside that raggedy old coat. I'm sure what's inside this lies a piece of evidence. Your Honor, inside this filthy coat are the defense's final pieces of evidence. Your final evidence? The trial is already over, and all that remains is for me to hand down my verdict. I do not believe any of the evidence presented now would change the outcome. What? Your Honor, this is a duty to examine every piece of evidence, down to the last. I request that Miss Von Karma be allowed to present these pieces of evidence. I suppose you're right. I grant permission. However, this is one obvious rule applies. If these items do not bring up any new points, then they will not be accepted. Now, Miss Von Karma, if you please. These pieces of evidence are items left by De Killer during his escape from the police. He must have been quite a rush. Yes. He left 3 pieces of evidence. Something among this evidence we're about to see. There will be something that turns this whole situation around. Like a miracle. I'm sure of it. This is all we can hope for. The first item is a pistol. Does the killer's pistol have anything to do with the case? Does this pistol has any relation? We have yet to perform a ballistics test, so I cannot say for certain. However, I believe it has something, at least with me. That's the pistol we used to shoot you, isn't it? That's what I believe, yes. I kept the bullet they removed from my shoulder as a sort of memento. I'm sure it will be an example for this test. So that's the pistol we used to shoot Franziska. It's probably not going to help us very much. The second is a videotape. I bet he took it from Ungard's mansion. Have you checked the contents of the tape? Unfortunately, there was no time to. But I would speculate that this tape is very important. Why would you say that? Because he came back to the hideout for it. He went back for it? That's right. It looked like he was trying to recover it. He injured 3 officers at this site. But somehow, it looks like they managed to protect it from him. Shelly De Killer is no ordinary man. The last piece of evidence is this bellboy's uniform. Is that the uniform from the Gatewater Hotel? Was that used during the crime? I am almost certain it was. There's even a pair of black leather gloves in one of the pockets. There's no doubt about it, he was wearing that on the night of the murder. There is one thing I found interesting about this uniform. And what is that? There's a button missing on this uniform. A button? It's a very unique button, but if I'm sure we were to recover it, it would provide us with an interesting clue. That is all I have to present. It's just as I thought. What is that? I'm sure, were we under normal circumstances, these items from Shelly De Killer's hideout would be very important clues. However, our question is not who did the killing. It is who is the client. Yes, that is correct. And those 3 items do not tell us anything about that. Thank you for your hard work. You may step down. Wait! Please allow me to examine this new evidence. Overruled! This court has already had enough evidence it needs to hand down a verdict. Wonderful. Absolutely splendid. This judge is a brilliant man, isn't he? Is this the end? Phoenix. There is no such thing as a miracle in this world, is there? I think you're wrong. They do exist. But you have to make it a miracle. You have to make that miracle happen. You've come this far. You can't give up now. But try, for my sake. Just think about it for a second. There are 2 ways out of this situation. The first, make On Guard wish from the bottom of his soul for a guilty verdict. The killer will always place his client's wishes first. If one guard wishes himself to be convicted, then he'll let the hostage go. That may be true, but that's asking us to do the impossible. The second way is force the killer to end his contract. If the killer were no longer to think of him as his client, then he would let Maya go. That's even more impossible. He's a man who values his duty towards his clients above all else. I know both of these seem like impossible feats, but if you could make either one happen, it would truly be a miracle. The bigger problem is, the judge has already said he doesn't need any more evidence. He's not accepting them. Phoenix, think about things from the other side. Isn't that what always worked for us? The other side? What does that mean? You mean to turn things around? The judge says he doesn't need the evidence. If that's the case, who does need it? The person who needs this evidence the most. The defense, prosecution, and judge, we've all seen this piece. And that's how we've come to know the truth. But there's one person who's yet to see them all. And that person does not know the truth. That truth is what will bring about the miracle in the end. There are no objections at this time, correct? Then I will pronounce my verdict. Why don't we all just respectfully sit back and listen, kids? I've already told you, Mr. Wright, this court does not need any more evidence. I'm not saying it is for us that needs the evidence. Then, you want to show this evidence to that person? Please, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, for you to ask with such passion, I'll grant you one chance. Please show your evidence to whom you think is the right person. That's impossible! Turn the situation around in one try. That's all I will permit. I have to try and remember everything that has happened. Think. There must be a way to save Maya while taking him down. Now then, Mr. Wright, let's not waste any more time. Who would you like to show this evidence to? I see. And now, tell this court one piece of evidence you would like to show this person. Well, what do you think, Mr. Edgeworth? I think there is some merit in showing this evidence. Bailiff, please bring the transceiver. I got it. Maya, she's okay, correct? Didn't I tell you to concern yourself with bringing about a speedy end to this trial? Now, if I understand correctly, you wish to show me a piece of evidence. Yes, one is all I need. I have here a videotape. It was found in your hideout. I heard you injured 3 officers in your attempt to get it back. That was most regrettable. However, it was an order from my client. I was told to protect that videotape. I thought so. I'm afraid I seem to have failed in that regard. Do you know the contents of this tape? I was sternly told by my client to not watch it. So I have absolutely no idea. Actually, you're on this tape. Me? There was a video camera hidden at the crime scene. Your actions were being recorded. What? Is that true? Mr. Wright? Who was it who planted a camera? Well, the only person who could have placed a camera in the scene of the crime would be your client, naturally. That was... Be quiet and listen, Your Honor. Your client specified a time and place for you, isn't that right? Yes. That was so they could film you. I had no idea. Mr. Wright, why would my client do such a thing? I would like to know why. Why didn't that unguard film the crime scene? The reason why he did it. There's only one reason he would secretly film you. Your client once told me something very interesting. We were talking about you, and this is what they said. But I'm no weakling. I don't believe in anyone, least of all assassins. Oh, come now, Mr. Wright. Assassins aren't above blackmail. That's where the video comes in. With that, I can keep him at bay and even blackmail him if I want. Your client didn't trust you at all, did he? They were thinking of using this video to blackmail you. What do you have to say to that, Shelly De Killer? It looks like I was being deceived from the very beginning. Yes, by natural. That's the kind of person they are. Your client is a person who only thinks and plots of how to use people around them to protect themselves from any and all dangers that may arise. That's the true nature of your client. I have one question for the witness. Yes. You told us once during numerous times that you said you detest traitors. That's right. But what if that traitor was your own client? What would you do then? That's obvious. I would break our contract in that case. And then, that client would become my next target. For the honor of the De Killer name, even if it takes an eternity, I would follow that person to the ends of the earth to exact my punishment. I see. That's all I wanted to know. So the traitor becomes his next target? I get it. This is how we'll turn this case around. Mr. Wright. Yes. My contract with my client is over as of now. I seem to have a new job on my hands. I will now return to you, your precious item. What's that? I'm not an item! Maya, I thought I'd never see you again. Oh, thank God. The trial appears to have come to its conclusion. However, I'm actually sort of... Miss Von Karma, where did that... She always has you in her sights. Now, I do believe it's finally time to hand down a verdict. Oh, God. Mr. Ungard, looks like somehow you got what you wanted. You'll finally receive that acquittal you wanted so badly. You should be happy. But before that, I would like to make one final statement. Sometime in the near future, one very betrayed assassin might appear before you. Needless to say, that man is very good at what he does, and I'm sure you would understand what I mean if you watched this video. Help me. Now then, Your Honor, the verdict, if you please. Is that all right with you? We finally reached the end of that very long battle. Whether he's convicted or acquitted, there's no escape for him. Go on, Phoenix. Plead however you want. Right, Chief. Congratulations, Mr. Ungard. Please make sure to savor every moment of what little time you have left. Your Honor, as always, the defense pleads not guilty. This court finds the defendant Matt Ungard not... Please wait. What's the matter? If I am not guilty, you'll be killed. I'm... No! Guilty! I'm guilty! And now his face is wrecked. Oh my god. As always, it looks like we've uncovered the real truth. I don't remember helping you out. Mr. Edgeworth, how's Matt Ungard? I've left Miss Von Karma in charge of his incarceration. I'm sure he's getting a full-course meal in Whipperland right now. Very good. That was a close one, wasn't it? Yes. I plan to pay my debt for society for my own crime, Your Honor. First time I was called to the witness stand during this trial, all I felt was despair. She must be talking about the time Edgeworth really went after her. I guess she's trying to forgive us for what we did. She has an illness. If you're going to say that would choose death, that would be of no concern to me. But after that, when I was alone in the detention center, it was the first time I saw myself for who I truly am. And today, when the two of you used your combined strength to convict him, I felt like I'd been saved. It's the first time I've seen her smile. I'm really happy that both of you were in charge of this case. I really don't know how to express how I feel right now. That is, this is the first time I felt comfortable with myself and who I am. Thank you so much. It looks like we've resolved everything at last. As for myself, there are still a few things I'm confused about. But everyone seems to be in good spirits, and that's good enough for me. This court is adjourned. You were great out there, Phoenix. What I did out there was right, wasn't it? This is the first time you've not gotten your client off. You got them a guilty verdict this time. But you have to look past that to what's really important. You now realize there's something more important than just getting a not guilty, right? I understand now. Phoenix, think back for a second to those moments before Miss Von Karma arrived at the final piece of evidence. Think about that incredible decision you had to make. Is he guilty? Or is he not guilty? Those were your choices then, and your answer? Your answer spoke to what being a lawyer means to you. Right! Edgeworth! I have good news. Maya is now safe in police custody. Really? You're telling us the truth, Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, she's quite safe. She's on her way here as we speak. Mystic Maya is safe! You did it! You did it, Mr. Nick! Ow, she punches hard for a kid. I believed in you. I kept saying to myself, you'll save her. We'll save her. Oh! Huh? Oh! Wait, what's wrong? Miss Von Karma. About earlier, thanks. Ow! Why are you smiling, Mr. Phoenix Wright? You lost! Your perfect win record has now been crushed. And yet, you are still happy? I don't think you'll ever understand, Miss Von Karma. How dare you! Don't worry. She may in time. After all, I was like that a year ago. Edgeworth. For now, my own personal victories. For my own guilty verdict. I used every dirty trick in the book. and so my win record remained spotless, but a man appeared and stood fast against that selfish me. I fought him with my usual manner and tasted my first defeat. I felt like I'd lost everything. And then it was my turn to sit in the defendant's chair. And I was saved by that person I called my enemy. I couldn't forgive myself for all that happened, so I left the prosecutor's office. And I left that note. Prosecutor Miles Edgeworth chooses death. As well you should have. A prosecutor who has been shamed with defeat should crawl into a hole and die! But that's not what happened. After I left the prosecutor's office, I finally came to realize something. And it was at that moment of clarity that everything began to change. What foolish nonsense! We prosecutors use anything we can to attack the defendant. But every time we do so, no matter how desperate the situation, instead of giving up like most people, that man held strong with undying faith. And before I knew it, I began to trust in that man as well. What? You trusted your enemy? It doesn't matter how many underhanded tricks a person uses. The truth will always find a way to make itself known. The only thing we can do is fight with the knowledge that hold everything we have. Erasing this paradox one by one. It's never easy. We claw and scratch for every inch. But we will eventually reach that single truth that we believe in you. The truth. That's the reason prosecutors and attorneys exist. But I'm sure you already knew that, didn't you? That's why you couldn't forgive me. The man who went into hiding, am I right? This man who only had his sights set on victory. Who ran away into the night. Is Mr. Edgeworth right, Mr. Nick? You really let me down. When you disappeared, I felt betrayed. The person I thought I decided to become a lawyer to begin with, was because I believed in the things you said to me. All those years ago. And you betrayed me. You betrayed your own words. That's why, 1 year ago, I made up my mind. I decided that Miles Edgeworth that I knew had died. At least, that's what I told myself. You pathetic fool! Miss Von Karma, I don't want to hear of your wretched whimpering of a disgraced loser. A Von Karma is someone who is destined to be perfect. Miles Edgeworth, you are no longer worthy. You are no longer worthy of being a Von Karma. And neither am I. It's over. It's all over! She threw something on the ground just now. It's a receiver. Isn't that the one she used to track him? I'll return this to the precinct later. There's something else. Isn't that a whip? You'll never set foot in the courtroom again. I'm sure that's what she's saying right now. You should keep this, right? Okay. Nick! Maya! Mystic Maya! Oh, Nick, I knew you'd come through. You got on guard convicted like I knew you would. And on top of that, you even rescued me. Of course I did. You know I wouldn't desert you. We sure pressed our luck this time. You're really lucky to be standing here. Whatever. Look, it's over, okay? Besides, if I did croak, I'd just come back to haunt you like a bad ghost or something through Pearly. Is it really to do something like that? Thanks a lot, Nick. Don't mention it. Maya. Oh! Mr. Edgeworth. I'm relieved you're all right. Hey, it looks like you made some real progress, Mr. Edgeworth. I suppose I'm a little different than who I was a year ago. Alright. I think it's time we get rid of this depressing place. Where are we going? Food, Nick! Grub! Chow, I'm starving! I'm so hungry, you even look like a nice juicy burger to me. You think I look like a burger? I'm prime rib, at least. Come on, Mr. Edgeworth, let's go, please. If you insist. Alright. How about we stop by the usual burger place? Don't be silly, Nick. This case messed up my awesome evening. I got in the way of gourmet food, so I've decided to make it up by having another feast. Another feast? Come on, Nick! Food! Whoop. Hey, pal! Sorry to keep you waiting. Gumshoe, you okay? Yeah, but I'm really embarrassed. I didn't think I would hit a telephone pole of all things. Telephone pole. Then it wasn't a red light. You did it again, city boy! I feel like my old heart here's gonna give out on me, and I ain't joking. Yeah, it was more exciting than the very last episode of the Steel Samurai. Thanks. Now looky here, Mr. Snotty Prosecutor. Don't you reckon you bullied Mr. Wright too hard? You don't start being a lot nicer, you might just kick it. Tonight even. I'll keep that in mind. Well, come on now. Everyone gather round. Y'all gonna get your picture taken by a genuine professional photographer. Looks like Lana bought herself a new camera. Well, pal, at least we can put this stupid case behind us. Come on! Tonight's all about eating, so let's chow down, pal. Amen to that, pal. Amen! You know, when you think about it, you're the one who saved the day, Detective. Me? Really think so? He's right. If it wasn't for the 3 items you took, I think this trial would have had a very different ending. Ah, well, that's odd. When I ran off with the things, I was sure I took 4 things. What? 4? I'm sure I put one of the items in my coat pocket. There's a 4th item? Aw, come on, it's over. Oh boy, I tell you, you really are something else. Between getting accused of murder and getting kidnapped, never a dull moment with you, huh? You think? Why does she always look so happy about this? But being shut away for 2 whole days, weren't you scared? Well, yeah, it was really scary, but I just had to keep my mind off of things. I drew a picture. Sounds like you had it rough. What's a picture of yours? I want to see it. I don't know where it went. That's too bad. Well, it's alright. Wasn't anything important anyway. It's probably the 4th item. Well, it's sure nice to be finally able to see them smiling again. Uh-oh. Huh? What is it? This thing is picking something up. That's the receiver! Thanks to her, I had my most awful experience of my life, sir. Can't believe she stuck a tracking device on me. That's odd. Even though you're standing right here, the tracking device is at a different location? It's probably busted or something. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm afraid it's about time for me to excuse myself. I still have some work to do. What? You haven't eaten anything yet! You've eaten way too much, you glutton. I had fun. Now, if you'll excuse me... Whoop. Wait! What? I said whoop, just like the last game. Are you happy? I just wanted to say thank you. You really saved me out there. If anyone should be saying thanks, it should be me. I feel like words alone aren't enough here. I wonder if there's anything I can give him. What's this? Thank you. It's all thanks to you two. You and her. You don't need to thank me. I was only doing my job. Looks like Mr. Edgeworth's left, Mr. Nick. Mystic Maya! What is it, Pearly? I guess you two can go back to being lovey-dovey, right? You and Mr. Nick, I mean. Would you just cut it out? You're embarrassing me! Anyway, who's paying for this? As if you need to ask. Everyone say, thank you, Nick! Huh? Yeah, I'm kinda at the point where I can only buy mince noodles, pal. So, I already put your name on the bill. What? I got me a situation myself. There's this camera shop in this hotel and, bought myself $3,000. Dude! Actually, reckon you bought it since it's on your tab too. Huh? Isn't it great, Mr. Nick? Why do I suddenly feel like screaming? Aw, you don't need to hold yourself back. Do it! Time to let it all out. This is gonna be the first time I really hear you. Go on, it's been a while. Alright then, if you say so. Oh. Oh god! Oh. Really came through for me, Nick. I had to hide that letter, but I knew you'd find it. I really feel like I've been living on edge lately. I mean, I've escaped death 3 times now. It's pretty cool, huh? I feel like a pro. Please stop doing this. But she won't. I'm so happy that you could save Mystic Maya, Mr. Nick. And I'm so happy for the 2 of you. Speaking of which, I think this hotel is a popular place for honeymooners. How did she know that? I sort of made reservations for the 2 of you, just in case. How did she do that? She's like 8 years old. Well, pal, looks like I'm back in the force again. Mr. Edgeworth had a long talk with the chief and got me reinstated for my sake. Heard he said things like letting this one go is bad for all of society. I knew it. Crashing headlong into everything's the only way to live, pal. I, Maggie Bird, am retiring this uniform as of today, sir. I'm going to be a waitress from now on. And bring smiles and joy to people who come by the restaurant, sir. I hope you'll stop by sometime, Mr. Wright. Yeah, are you here to visit a patient? I'm Director Hottie. Recently, yeah, that girl, you know, I haven't seen her around, you know. Yeah, but I remember, even if I laid so much as an eye on her, I'd go, crack! And doesn't matter if I got whipped, though. Yeah, I wouldn't matter, I wouldn't mind it. Oh, God, I feel dirty. Time to begin our quest of world circus domination, sweetie! And to let the world that we are serious, I plan to make a fabulous flight to Zimbabwe. Hey, Max, what do you mean? What do you think Zimbabwe's like? Do you think there are castles made of cake or bunnies who can talk? I think if there were any talking bunnies, even they wouldn't laugh at Moe's jokes. No. No, we wouldn't. I'm ready. There's no way these jokes are gonna fall on deaf ears. I'm gonna be more contemporary with my humor. Represent! We got a new act all worked out. Prepare for the Hallelujah chorus. Say something, will ya? You're supposed to start this one off. Get on with it! What's this? It's just ordinarily an electric razor. I can't believe this. How long have they planned making me do this? But it's for edgy poo, so it must be something deep. It's gotta be a hidden meaning. Why do I get this feeling that they wouldn't just forget about me, would they? I'll never be like this. In the old days, everyone thought the world of me. Called me Queen Wendy, treated me like loyalty, and I can't keep up with the... Oh, jeez. Oh, God! I appreciate everything you and Mr. Edgeworth did for me, from the bottom of my heart, but... Oh, I received a letter from Miss Von Karma. She said that after I get out, I'd be free to consult her about anything at all. I'm really thankful to have met everyone. It has become difficult for me in this country as of late. As such, I will take a short leave of absence. If you would like to request my services, be sure to visit my homepage. May we both be blessed with longevity. Also, apologies for this very, very long video, but it is the finale, so... Where are you going, Franziska? Huh? How did you know I was here? With this? I heard you were planting certain things on a certain person. Things like tracking devices. In his coat, for example. That's just like you. I only planted it there so he could always be wearing it. This filthy drab coat of his. I don't know how it ended up in my luggage. But it's going into this trash. You can be bet on that. Oh, that's right. Speaking of that man, he told me something very interesting. When I ran off with the things from the killer's hideout, I was sure I took 4 things total. 4 things? Seems he put the last one in his coat pocket. He put it in there. It doesn't matter anymore. This case is already over. What are you going to do now? That's none of your business. Are you running away? Shut up! You don't understand a thing. You can't possibly understand what it means to be Manfred von Karma's daughter. Franziska. So many expectations from everyone around me. Expectations that I must fulfill. I'm expected to win no matter what. And failure? Such a thing is not an option for me. My father was a genius. There's no doubt about that. But now, I'm no genius. I've always known that. But I had to be one. I had to. You may not be a genius like your father, but you were a prosecutor. You always have been, and always will be. No, not. Not anymore. I've even thrown my whip away. Speaking of that, Wright gave me this to hold on to. You knew something like this would happen, didn't you? I'm going to say this again. We prosecutors do not fight for personal honor nor pride. I hope you will think deeply about what you should be striking down with that whip. You have changed a bit. You've always left me alone and walked on without me. Miles Edgeworth, I've always hated you! And then, finally my chance to take revenge on you has arrived. If I could win against that man, if I could make Phoenix Wright bow down in defeat, then that girl that you left behind would have risen higher than you. That was supposed to be my revenge. I see. You know, I can't do it. I can't change who I am. I can't throw away everything I've been until today. I believe you can, just like how Adrian Andrews did. Adrian Andrews? You were going to use her during the trial, right? But you were dependent on your father by using his tactics, isn't that right? today you chased after me, after I had you left behind all those years. And that's why we're standing here now, side by side. But I have no intention of stopping. If you say you're going to quit, you will walk down the prosecutor's path. Then this is where we part ways. Franziska von Karma. Whoa, shit. I am Franziska von Karma. Don't think I'm going to walk on your shadow forever. Battle begins now. So you better prepare yourself, Miss Edgeworth. Oh, God, now I feel bad. Holy shit. Phoenix Wright. One day, someday, I'm sure we'll meet again in battle. Until then, this last piece of evidence that never made it to you. I'll take good care of this fourth piece, so I can give it to you when at last we meet again. Oh, God. Oh! Oh. Nice. And we're still not done yet. Because next time we start Trials and Tribulations. And it's my favorite of the games. As good as Case 2-5 or 2-4 was, I still have a soft spot for the three main cases in Game 3. But I want to thank you for sticking around for this super long episode as we finish this up. Next time, the third and final game of the Ace Attorney trilogy.